Tiger's last walk. The sun was just beginning to set over Subic Market, casting long shadows on the pavement. Tiger, a scruffy brown dog with eyes that had seen too much, padded quietly through the aisles of vendors, his ribs pressing against his thin coat. He wasn't always this frail. Once, he had been strong, fast, and hopeful. But life on the streets had a way of stripping away dreams. One hungry night at a time, he had learned to read people well who would spare a scrap of food, who would chase him away, and who simply ignored him. He had no owner, no home, but he belonged to the market in his own way. He had friends, their kind hands that sometimes tossed him leftovers, a few gentle souls who whispered his name when he passed. But that day was different. He was extremely hungry and smelled meat coming from underneath the market floor. Small scraps of meat. He quickly devoured them, but he didn't realize that a sharp pain suddenly struck the side of his torso. He felt the pain twice. He could feel the rage radiating from the woman vendor, and suddenly, a wave of fear rushed through him, but it was too late before he could run. She had already plunged her butcher's knife into his stomach. The air was thick with the scent of grilled meat and fresh produce. But Tiger smelled something else: anger. He didn't understand human rage, not really. He only knew the shift in their posture, the way their voices sharpened. He had only wandered too close, hoping for a dropped morsel, when he felt it, a piercing pain, sharp and deep. A second stab followed, sending his small body crumpling onto the cold pavement. He didn't yelp. He had learned long ago that no one listened. The world blurred. The market sounds faded. The smell of blood filled his nostrils, warm and thick. He struggled to move, but his legs wouldn't obey. For the first time in his life, he felt truly alone. He lay there for hours, unnoticed by most, except for a few who whispered in hushed tones. "It's just a stray," some said. Others shook their heads. But no one knelt beside him. No one comforted him as the life slowly drained from his body. By the time help arrived, it was too late. The people who had once fed him, who had sometimes called his name, stood in silence. Their grief was heavy, but it could not bring him back. Justice was being sought, but justice would not erase the pain, nor would it heal the wound of indifference that had let this happen. Tiger's story should not have ended this way. He was not just a stray, he was a soul, a life that had mattered. And as his body was gently lifted from the pavement, the wind carried a silent promise that his suffering would not be forgotten, that change would come, and that one day, fewer strays would meet his fate. But for now, the market was quieter. A small presence was missing, and somewhere, under the dimming sky, a dog's spirit walked its final path, no longer hungry, no longer cold,